Jimin broke the silence. What exactly did he whisper that made Jungkook and Taehyung, who had been at odds for a long time, finally look at each other without tears but with a deep meaning that shook the entire army? Is this the end of the silent cold or the beginning of a wound that was secretly healed by one man? Park Jimin. Jimin is a man. This is how he brings Jungkook and Taehyung together again. Jimin's role is revealed in an unexpectedly emotional moment no one really thought. No one is ready to see two figures who were once so close, then moved away as if time had no meaning, now standing side by side again. But more than that, no one thought that the trigger was Jimin. Yes, Park Jimin. The man who has chosen to be silent, choosing to keep wounds and worries in his little smile, turns out to have a bigger role than what the public sees. The question now is, what really happened in the military until Jungkook and Taehyung got back to talking?
Was it really because of Jimin?
Or was there another, more surprising reason behind the reconciliation that made the army cry in silence? Suddenly, everything looked like a replayed recording. Small moments, restrained smiles, averted eyes, and hands that almost touch but choose to remain at the sides of the body. When the first news of Jungkook and Taehyung meeting in the military came out to the public, it all sounded familiar. Two best friends, two teammates in the same place, in the same uniform, running errands for the country. But who knew that behind it all, there was a tension that was about to explode, and only one person knew how to tame it. Jimin. They don't talk at all. It was a sentence heard from someone in the military environment who accidentally heard that when Jungkook and Taehyung first met, there was no hug. No greeting. They just look away from each other. Cold. Flat. Quiet. And who can blame them? Too many things have not been said. Too many wounds are left open for so long. But why did Jimin choose that time to come to the base when he could postpone it? Does Jimin know something we don't? Or has he been hiding something all this time? The army began to wonder since Jimin was seen appearing in his official uniform, walking into the headquarters where Taehyung and Jungkook were stationed. No camera, no official coverage, but there was a whisper. There were glares in the eyes of some who saw the moment. One of them even said that when Jimin arrived, he immediately looked for two people and did not stop until he found them. And what happens after that makes anyone who loves them feel claustrophobic that a small room, perhaps a break room or informal briefing room, becomes a witness. There, the three men sat. No sound, no laughter. But then, one voice sounded. Jimin's voice. A soft but soul-shaking voice. You forget who first said, "Forever we are seven"? You think I don't know you miss each other, but you're too stubborn to admit it. No one ever knew the full extent of the conversation. But that piece of the sentence becomes a leak that makes all the sense. Jimin did not come to meet. He came to demand honesty.
About the wound.
About longing. About silence that is no longer defense, but torture. And when Jungkook finally opened his voice first, Army knew. This isn't just a reunion. This is a repair that starts from destruction. Jungkook, with his eyes lowered, is said to have said, "I am angry because I am afraid. I was silent because I was too sick." And Taehyung, who had been considered the calmest, was the most devastated when he finally said, "I'm waiting for you to apologize. But I'm also too selfish to say I miss you." Jimin didn't cry, but his face stiffened. When two people he loved like brothers finally spoke the truth, he could only look at them with glassy eyes. If you keep moving away from each other, then everything we've built so far, everything we've fought for, will be in vain. The moment happened without a camera, without documentation. But the small voices of people who accidentally watched spread in the internal circles of the military, and in the end reached the ears of fans who were sensitive to reading patterns. There are no photos, but there is a feeling. There is no video, but there is a truth that cannot be hidden. Now, a new question hangs in the sky full of speculation. What exactly happened before the meeting? Why is their relationship so frozen? And why is Jimin the only one who can open the emotional gate that has been locked? There are rumors that the quarrel between Taehyung and Jungkook began not because of one big moment, but the accumulation of mutual incomprehension. Jungkook feels Taehyung is changing. Too far. Too busy. Meanwhile, Taehyung feels Jungkook is too sensitive, too silent, and doesn't give room to talk. Then in the middle of it all, Jimin stood as a mediator who was almost destroyed because he could not choose a side. I love you both. But more than that, I want you to love each other like you used to. The sentence was said to be the end of their conversation before the three were silent for a moment and finally, for the first time in a long time, laughed a little together. Not a big laugh, but enough to break the wall of silence. Enough to let the world know that something has changed, the army testified. In a short video from an official military event that shows Taehyung and Jungkook standing nearby, there is a moment where Jungkook looks at Taehyung and smiles slightly. To his surprise, Taehyung responded with a light nod. That's enough to make the world go crazy. Because in their language, it's not just a greeting. That's a start. It was a statement. I already forgive you, or at least I tried. But is this the end of all conflicts? Or just a lull before the next storm? Jimin, in an internal interview that has not been widely publicized, had said, "Sometimes the hardest thing in friendship is when you're the bridge between two people you love, and you have to stand alone and hold it all together." And now we understand. Jimin did not just unite them. It bears wounds from two directions. It absorbs all the pain that is never pronounced. And in the end, he chose not to let their friendship fall apart. Then the question is no longer, have Jungkook and Taehyung reconciled? But what should we do to ensure that these wounds actually heal and not just hide? Has Jimin saved BTS from a deeper rift? Is this meeting in the military the key to a greater reunion in the future? And what is behind all this? Jimin keeps another secret that he has not yet revealed. If it weren't for Jimin, the world might never see Taehyung and Jungkook standing together again, not just as groupmates, but as best friends who come back to believe that they mean something to each other. But behind that seemingly happy moment, is it really all over? Or is Jimin just patching up wounds deeper than they appear on the surface? Some close people say that what we see today is just the tip of the iceberg of the emotional conflict that has long gnawed at Jungkook and Taehyung's friendship. Question: when did they start moving away? And why does Jimin have to bear the burden of reuniting them? Many soldiers began to recall the moments before conscription. Taehyung, who seems to spend more time alone, Jungkook, who suddenly doesn't talk much when he mentions Taehyung's name, and Jimin, who always avoids when asked about their relationship. When it all looks like a routine, as if it is natural that each one has a distance. But now, after the outbreak of silence in the military camp, it all feels like pieces of a puzzle are beginning to connect. Some sources say that their last quarrel occurred because of a voice message Taehyung sent, but Jungkook never replied. A message that, according to insiders, contained an outpouring of heart from Taehyung about pressure, fatigue, and worries for their future as a group. Jungkook, who was under the pressure of his solo project at the time, chose not to answer. Not because he doesn't care, because he didn't know how to respond. And when Jimin found out about this, he didn't say much. He only wrote in his little note, which a HYB staffer had seen, these words: "Sometimes silence doesn't mean you don't care, but fear of speaking wrong and hurting deeper." Jimin knew that one wrong word could turn an already open wound into an ulcer that could not heal. And maybe that's why he waited. Waiting until they are both in the same place, the right time, the right atmosphere, and he is strong enough to withstand all the emotions that will explode. When the moment finally came in the military, when the three of them were in the same room for the first time in a long time, Jimin did not open the conversation with sweet words or pleasantries. It opens with silence. And from that silence, he said, "I'm tired of seeing you guys pretend you don't miss each other." That sentence, according to a source who witnessed it firsthand, made Jungkook look at Jimin with reddened eyes. And Taehyung turned to the window, taking a deep breath as if holding back tears. Everything happens without high noise. No screaming. But the emotional vibration was so strong that it made the room feel claustrophobic. What makes the moment so emotional isn't just because two best friends finally meet, but because they are forced to be honest in the presence of one person who never leaves them, even when they leave each other. And now, the unanswered question is, did Jimin reunite two broken hearts? Or just delay a bigger split? Many fans began speculating that this reconciliation was a sign that BTS would return as a unified whole once all members completed their military service. But on the other hand, some observers see that this togetherness is still fragile, that there are still wounds that have not completely healed, and that Jimin's role in the future will be even heavier, as he is now not. But one big question hangs in the air. Why did Jimin take on all this burden alone? Why should he be the connector of a broken heart when he himself is also facing tremendous pressure from the world that continues to watch him endlessly? What many people don't know is that Jimin didn't just bring Jungkook and Taehyung together once. He did it more than once. And more surprisingly, he almost failed and thought about giving up. A source who worked closely with Jimin during pre-military said that Jimin often cried silently in the training room, not because the training was too heavy, but because he felt like he had lost his two best friends, even though they were all still there. I was in the middle of two people not talking to each other, and I had to pretend that everything was fine, Jimin said, as written in his personal journal leaked from the scope of HYB staff. The journal was never intended for the public. But somehow, a few sentences from a page taken during the process of packing his things before entering the military spread among the small army involved in the fan-made documentary project. One of the most surprising quotes reads, "If I had knocked on Jungkook's door that day, I don't know if the two of them would have ever spoken again." The sentence reinforces speculation that Jimin is actively creating a reconciliation space for Jungkook and Taehyung, not through orders, but through empathy and deeply personal instincts. And what hurts more? He did it in silence. He never stole the spotlight, never talked about it in public, as if his struggle was part of a silent task that he himself chose. But is everything that easy? According to a person who once shared a temporary barracks with the three, their first night back in the military did not go smoothly. Jimin tried to open a light conversation, but only answered with a stiff smile from Jungkook and a blank look from Taehyung. The night was quiet, cold, and full of invisible tension, but in the middle of the night, Jimin took a step that surprised everyone. He played an old BTS song, Spring Day, in the barracks room, then came out without saying a word, and in the room there were only two people left, Jungkook and Taehyung. The song played, and for the first time in a long time, tears again fell, said a witness. Both were crying, but not looking at each other. Just shut up. But no one left the room, and that's enough. Day after day, Jimin creates small spaces so that the two can touch again the thread that once broke. It is not forcing. It does not give lectures. It is only present. Pave the way, bridging loneliness. And then, the surprise came. Jimin is known to have made an informal request to one of the officers to set up a joint training session for the three, outside the official schedule. With the excuse of strengthening the solidarity of the team, he managed to organize a day of physical training in which the three worked together and had to depend on each other. And from that activity, slowly the closeness that was once buried began to stick out again. Taehyung chuckles as Jungkook almost slips on the practice field. Jungkook holds Taehyung by the shoulders as he struggles to carry heavy logistics. And Jimin? He just stood behind, smiling, with teary eyes, because that's where he knows. Wounds can heal, but only if given the time and people who are willing to take care of him. Now the question is, after this emotional and tearful moment that took place behind closed military fences, will HYB tell this truth to the public? Or will they cover it all up, maintaining the image that the members always get along and harmonize, without letting the world know that what they are going through is much more human, more painful, and more real than we ever imagined? And will, after this, Jimin stay in the middle? Or will he step back, letting Jungkook and Taehyung take care of their own feelings? Because one thing that also slices is, who took care of Jimin? When he's busy being a bridge, who makes sure he doesn't drown in his own feelings? Who held him when he felt like a failure as a mediator? And who knew that during this time, he not only united two best friends, but also fought so that he would not be destroyed in the midst of tremendous emotional stress. When they come out of the military and return to the stage, the camera and the thousands of fans screaming their names, we'll probably see them smiling side by side. But ARMY knew, behind that smile, there was Jimin's invisible struggle, and now we know, if it weren't for Jimin's courage to break the silence, perhaps forever we would no longer see Jungkook and Taehyung in one frame. When everyone thought that the emotional moment between Jungkook and Taehyung was just the result of time healing wounds, no one knew that there was one silent act of Jimin that became the biggest turning point.